10 years ago, I thought that GLP-1s were the closest thing to a miracle weight loss tool we would ever see. And I wrote prescription after prescription, starting with diabetes, but then the weight impacts were not hard to notice. There's clearly benefit. But the longer I worked with my patients and with these products, the harder certain realities became for me to ignore. A fair number of patients would be having some decent success, minimal side effects, but then another would end up in the hospital with pancreatitis. And when I started to balance out in my own personal practice the wins against the failures, I started asking deep questions like, how many goods cancel out the bad anyway? And that something as I'd say true believer in the principle of first do no harm, I found that very difficult. I found myself sitting in a space in this growing middle of mediocrity and an enormous price tag. Today I'm going to share with you why in 2024, as an internal medicine physician, as someone for over 12 years prescribing these medicines with great enthusiasm, I finally put the prescription pad down and I switched to 100% lifestyle approach for weight loss. Really nice to have you with me here. Hello, I'm Dr. Z, internist, primary care doctor for many years here in Wisconsin, now consulting specifically weight management and type 2 diabetes. So if you are interested in weight loss for any reason, I think you're going to find this session very interesting, whether you are trying to lose weight or whether you are a healthcare practitioner also on the other side of the prescription pad like I was for so long. Hey, we are here together both in this session and also, in this very interesting moment in time. I say GLP-1s, I mean, it's fascinating, isn't it? This is like a medical phenomenon, I would say, and it's even a societal phenomenon because it's so big now. It's been a big part of my life for a long time, prescribed so many of them and interacted with so many people navigating the experience of using them, walking along a weight loss and health path with it. So I'm going to do my best today, share my honest human experience of this process with you in the most transparent way I can. I hope you find it valuable. I would love to have a big discussion about it. If you're here with me live, share your thoughts and reflections in the chats as we go. If you are here on the replay, so glad to have you here. Share your reflections and thoughts in the comments, and glad to have you here at any point. Let's have an ongoing conversation about it. Topic like this, so big, so many different perspectives. Every perspective, welcome, I say, as long as everyone is kind. Just be kind, and every perspective I welcome. And we have a discussion about. Grab a coffee or tea, settle in. Let's do some reflecting together on it. So here's some disclaimer thoughts from me. So just so you know, people that I know and care about deeply, yes, are taking these medicines, and I wish them the very best. I do. I want them to have fantastic success with it. And I've prescribed thousands of these medicines, and I'll tell you more about that. And I never would have done it personally if I did not think that benefit could come from it, and it wasn't a reasonable thing to do. So if anyone is taking them and you're coming into the session, I say I'm not prescribing it anymore. I'm not saying it's the wrong thing to do or that no one should do it. I'm just sharing my perspective of why I am not doing it. So anyone who is taking these products and having benefit from it, I just want you to know I am truly happy for you. And this is what we want in medicine, moving toward health, having progress. And I say, no matter what perspective we come from, we're all on the same team. This is how I feel. We are definitely all on the same team, moving in the direction of health through any path. So I'm not telling anyone to take or not take any medicine. See my full disclaimer down here in the video description, okay? All right, so here is starting out about my experience. So I have been personally dedicated to helping people achieve a healthy weight, to find health in every type of way that they can since 2009. which is when I actually became a doctor. So it was like at the very beginning, this has been a big part of what I have been doing, and I've tried to build that process from the very beginning and just learning as I go. So I started my medical career as a resident physician at the VA hospital here in Madison. Wonderful experience, wonderful place. Interesting experience. And when I started, there was no GLP-1 on the formulary at the VA at that time, so couldn't prescribe it. So, my initial medical training, I had many different weight loss meds that I could prescribe, started getting experience with that as a prescriber of medicines, but no GLP-1 until I joined the university in 2012. So at that point, wrote my first GLP-1 prescription, Byetta, for type 2 diabetes. And then as time went on, we got longer-acting version, Bydureon, and so I started building some experience as a prescriber of these medicines for diabetes. And so in a glucose space, we're monitoring blood sugar. You start someone on a GLP-1, easy to see the blood sugar effect. And, people weren't thinking of it at the time as weight loss drugs, but I would say within 3 months of writing my first prescription, I was already aware. I was like, you could see that there are weight effects that are readily apparent taking it. And as someone who is a young doctor, very interested in helping people get their weight in the best place, this really piqued my interest, and I became a major prescriber of GLP-1s. 2012 is, really through 2022, I was prescribing tons of them, but waning enthusiasm toward the end, and then I wrote my last GLP-1 script in 2024, and now I have floated through 2 solid years here of not prescribing them and continuing to help people, hopefully in an increasingly powerful way is what I am working on. So I've prescribed pretty much every weight loss drug in my attempt to find, what is the thing, I'm always looking, what is the thing? And of course you hope as a prescriber, someone, you have an ability to write a prescription for someone. You hope this is a thing that is so helpful to someone. You're always looking for maybe this combination, maybe this. And I've gone to pharmaceutical conferences back when I was searching, before I really learned about lifestyle medicine and the power of it and the ability to get into root levels of our metabolism. I say, what is the thing? I prescribed so much phentermine. I had many bad experiences with phentermine and its variations, like phentermine topiramate. Contrave, this combination, bupropion, naltrexone, I never saw anyone harmed by it, and some people really do find it helpful, so I'm not, negative on that. Orlistat, oh boy. So, in the big picture, I have never, been extremely enthused about any other type of weight loss medicine like I got enthused about GLP-1s. As far as weight loss medicine, GLP-1, it even still, in my perspective, if I had to prescribe a medication for it, I probably, would still look in that direction, okay? Especially for this scenario, type 2 diabetes, diabetic medications, especially insulin, okay, huge overlap. And then here I'm going to focus in, though, on weight specifically. So even with the enthusiasm, okay, I want you to see my history, thousands of scripts written, seeing the real benefit of people who have had it. But I'm going to try to give you the total vision of how I came to the position that I am. So we see the benefit, but then I say, but even then, okay? So here is a randomized controlled trial. It was published in the journal Diabetes Care last year, and it looked at a very large collection of patients, both with and without type 2 diabetes, who are taking GLP-1s and looking at the effect on weight. And so the 2 sections that I highlighted down here, to see 47 randomized controlled trials, 23,000 patients taking GLP-1s from a range of time, 1 to 2 years in the study. And the results of this study out of this enormous volume of patients is that the average patient lost 10 pounds over the course of 47 different studies. And when they did a subgroup analysis of these patients, and they stripped out all of the studies that were less than a year, so between 1 and 2 years, then that went out to 16 pounds average weight loss at 2 years. And so, of course, an average implies, half are better and half are worse. And this is, as we'll start to build out the experience, some people have significantly better results than other people. And so there is definitely a distribution. And this is what I want to focus on, is we're painted the picture in the commercials that everybody who takes these products has extremely beneficial results with no side effects, when the reality, is different. Some people having incredible results without readily apparent side effects, but some people not having that experience. And so as someone who ran a weight management clinic for many years, and sit there is especially difficult, this scenario. Someone working with medicines, taking them at great expense, needing to lose weight for medical reasons, wanting to do it. Can you imagine being 2 years out, you want to lose 100 pounds and you're -8 after 2 years of this, therapy? This is, it's not exactly as inspiring as you wish it would be. This is the scenario. So this has been my contrarian experience, it's very interesting. I started out in 2012, extremely high enthusiasm, and I worked for many years to transition many people, especially with diabetes, from other medicines onto GLP-1s, something that I still think is reasonable in many circumstances. And then as things became available for weight loss, I prescribed so many of them. But it's just so interesting. As the societal experience has blown out into this very, interesting phenomenon that we have now, my personal experience has really gone in the other direction. I've become more and more middle about it. More and more middle. The more experience I've gained, the more mediocre I've tended to feel, and this is the reason. So here is just a standard distribution. It's not a distribution of any effect specifically for a GLP-1, but just conceptually we can think about it, because most things in life follow some sort of distribution. I don't exactly know what the slope of these lines would look like for a GLP-1, but this gives us the concept. Way out on the tail, on the side, some people having extreme benefit with no side effects. And then as we start coming in, people having pretty good results and feeling good about it and can be sustained over some period of time. And then as we come into the middle, results a little more, but it's like still seems worthwhile and people are happy about it. And then as we flow over into the other side, it's like a lot of people in the middle, as I say, mediocre middle. And then this other side is the type of thing that we don't like to talk about. Certainly it doesn't go on a commercial. It doesn't sell a lot of tickets to conferences and people aren't excited. But there's all kinds of people who are having experiences where they say, well, it is not quite so positive, something like this, people developing side effects. And as we head down the slope here, we say, oh, some gastroparesis and other processes that, are unpleasant, but not severe. But as we head out the tail, people that I have prescribed these medicines to have almost died and ended up in the hospital for weeks with severe pancreatitis. And so that's the other side of the distribution. And the more times, say, if we were to draw this, the slope is probably shifted left, more people having a positive experience than having the negatives. But, it take a very, very, very large number of very positive occurrences, in my view, to cancel out almost killing someone. And I don't even know if it could be done, and so that is the experience there. So I say the other thing that I want to bring into it, when I was reflecting so deeply about whether I was going to continue to do this, I look at this graph and I see the tails on the sides, if I can frame myself here, and we say the very, very goods and the very, very bads, to me, that's like matter and antimatter. They kind of blow up. We're left with this mediocre middle where, like the results of the meta-analysis are showing, say, okay, 10 pounds out. Now, I'd love if we were having a debate. I've got some other doctor here who just loves it and say, are you saying that that's not significant? I'm not saying it's not, significant or relevant for someone to lose 10 pounds. I'm, of course, happy if people sustainably lose any amount of weight. But I'm sitting in my weight management clinic with a person who needs to lose 100 pounds in order to be able to get their, abdominal surgery or have the knee replacement that they want. 8 pounds, isn't going to move the needle over 2 years. You know what I mean? And so now we're in this mediocre middle where we're kind of struggling. Many people, everybody who's having the great results, go perfect, beautiful, don't need any other, help, perhaps. But now we're in here, and now we're sitting in this space where we have great cost and mediocre results, or not good results. And that's a slice where I think we really need to think deeply about. We do a cost-benefit analysis, and I'm going to show you a little bit of that. List price of Wegovy, over $16,000 a year, and this is radical. Now, as I dug into this in detail, very few people actually pay that. Some people do get really stiffed with the full bill. People with high deductible health plans and insurance loopholes, things, who don't have giant programs advocating for them, sometimes can get stuck with a full price. Many insurance contracts negotiating down. This is like a sales tactic of pharma companies. Set the bar high, and then it gets negotiated down through all kinds of processes. But the cost is still extreme, even after all the financial finagling data that I found. See, all the points I'm making here I have listed in references down below, the papers and the things, if you want to dig into any of it. $132 billion total expenditure on GLP-1s in the U.S. in 2025, and then that is not split out between weight management and diabetes. But I'll show you some graphs from JP Morgan in a little financial analysis saying that that slice of diabetes getting smaller and smaller as the weight, part explodes higher. And then, of course, there's also overlap between diabetes and weight. And so, this is giving us a perspective on the impact of the cost of these medicines to society. And then I just put, this interesting little point. I found, for reference, total U.S. expenditure on food at home in 2025, $1.1 trillion. So we're sitting here, 11% of food spent at home cost on the medicines to help us eat a little bit less. It's just a very, very fascinating situation to me that we have, both financially, economically, philosophically, medically. Fascinating. So, more than a feeling, my feeling, which I put here is like a vibe, right? Cost-benefit vibe from me is that when we add in the financial cost of this mediocre middle, this is my curve. It just turns into a flat line. The whole curve, it's like the ends of the tail fold in, the middle folds in with the cost, and we end up with a flat line that, I was describing a couple years ago as a long, expensive trip to nowhere, on average. Recognizing that people within that space having benefit, and bless you if you're having the benefit. That is the whole point. But in the big picture, I don't know that we're going anywhere. I think we're spending an enormous amount of money for a lot of mediocrity and also harm that is canceling out a lot of the benefit. And you say, that is not a scientific perspective, Dr. Z. And so if you want a scientific perspective, people do actual cost-benefit analysis. And I linked one in the video description. Okay, so if you read cost-benefit analysis, calculates out $135,000 per quali for semaglutide. Okay, what is a quali? That stands for quality adjusted life years. So that means 1 extra year of optimal healthy life for one person. Okay, so for semaglutide, spend $135,000 to add 1 year of quality of life. That's the assessment from the academics. Now, what does that mean? Okay, people in the space say if something is under 100,000, that could be cost effective, and other people say under 150, so it's kind of a range. So some people, in the academic community that studies this, say this is maybe a potentially cost effective, and you could go with that. I just say my feeling on it, unscientific, I'm not so sure, and whether it is or isn't, if it doesn't completely flatten out the line like I'm saying, it at least brings it down, right? It at least brings it down a little bit. So you say, okay, is there a silver lining to it all? I don't know. I hope so. If there is a silver lining, it would be this. Here's epidemiological data on charting incidence of obesity in the United States over the last couple decades. And look there, 2022, a peak in this data. And so much commentary spent on this. And here's the big ramp up of GLP-1s for weight loss. Is it actually having a societal impact? Is that what we're seeing? This is basically survey data. Could be many different interpretations of it, but I'm open to that explanation. Certainly could be possible. And that would be a silver lining, right? It's like, is it working? Now, people going to say we're going to ramp up GLP-1s, we're going to get them to everybody, and we're going to see this continue to go down. Now, I would love to be an eternal optimist, and I would love to say that a big part of my doing this talk is, a personal reflection to see if I think that is true. I change my perspective. I say I took 2 years off. Maybe I changed my mind. Should I jump back in, I would do it if I thought it was the thing to do. Here's the other side of it. At the same time that we are seeing this, we are also seeing this. Here's an update this year from the CDC about it. CDC finds record high obesity rates for children and teens as adults have a slight decline. And so if we are going to really think about what is happening, I would say in the big picture, right? Societal health, everything that is happening, things are not improving, right? If the next generation of people is like we're raising, like the society is not healthy. All the money that we are spending is not helping kids. It's not helping to raise healthy generations of people. No root problems being solved as far as I can see. I mean, this was cynical. I had to write it. It feels cynical. We're just awaiting the next generation of profits, right? The next GLP-1 customers. We're just like coming on. Like I just say that does not sound like a silver lining. What it sounds like to me is a golden lining, okay? And here's data from JP Morgan. This is their extrapolation, their financial analysis. I linked it in the show notes. They only see this process continuing. Radical expansion of GLP-1s and radical expansion of profits, right? There is a lot of money to be made. And, more patients, more product flow, more profits. You start reading the financial analysis, nobody thinks that this is solving the problem, right? We have only growing demand. No root problems being solved. Here is Chris Schott, senior analyst at JP Morgan. Launch of oral GLP-1s coupled with lower prices, broader access. We're adding Medicare and Medicaid coverage. Going to drive higher utilization and market penetration. More affordable, more convenience, increasing scale. The money just going to keep flowing. This is the priority, of the system. And here was from in the article that he wrote. Investors taking note. I summarize a bit. After having to discontinue their internal GLP-1 program for causing liver issues, Pfizer bought out this company Metstra, developing many other assets. $10 billion they spent on it. Up to 30 million people in the U.S. going to be on these drugs by 2030. making the growth of GLP-1s one of the key storylines to watch. I mean, it's for investing, right? For making money, right? I say in the health space too. I think it's fascinating. It is all fascinating. They say less clear how GLP-1s will influence other industries. This analyst says GLP-1s projected to lead to an annual revenue reduction of 30 to 55 billion by 2034 for the food and beverage industry. Well, I say I hope so. I mean, that would be a silver lining. I'd say it'd be a silver lining. But now I got to tell you what, I'm going to take the under. Like, I'm not going to bet the farm on it, okay? But I maybe bet the tractor on the under that it's not going to have that impact. But we'll see. I would be happy to be wrong on that. I would. Robbie Marcus, senior analyst, JP Morgan, noted that disruption in the medtech sector has so far been minimal. While GLP-1s are reshaping obesity and diabetes care, the medtech sector continues to benefit from broader healthcare trends, meaning people still getting sick. We're still on the pipeline, need plenty of medtech, okay? Don't worry, keep investing. No indication GLP-1s have negatively impacted medtech volumes or pricing. Instead, the sector remains resilient. This is my bet for global agribusiness too. It's going to be resilient. Demand for food is going to be resilient in my guess. Okay. So here's the big perspective. We try to bring this down into some practical spaces for us. Here's further data. Usage of GLP medications for weight loss continues to gain in popularity. Here's 2024 on the left, when I stopped prescribing them, and 2026 at present time, where we are now. And the two lines are current users versus ever users on the top in blue. And so, to me, this is the most fascinating thing. The gap. All right. The gap is what I really want to talk about. The idea of these medicines is that you take them forever. And if that were the case, then the lines would overlap. People would never stop taking them. If people get on them, they have miraculous results. They have no side effects. It's accomplishing every stated purpose that we have. These two lines would not diverge. But if we look over the years, this is a small set of data, it is subtly diverging. The gap is widening. And my prediction is that this gap, the gap between the current GLP-1 users and the ever users, is going to continue to grow because of what I have described. The many times the mediocre results and the side effects and the cost and the access, all these things, it is going to continue to diverge, I predict. And the system, as far as I can see, as someone intimately involved in it, does not really recognize this gap. And you think about what that gap means. What does it mean for people who are in that increasing blue line? People took it but stopped. And just think what that means as a personal level. People took these medicines because they had hopes that were not fulfilled. You know what I mean? It's like they took the medicine and they had a side effect. They took the medicine, they didn't get the results. They took the medicine and then they had to stop for some reason because they couldn't afford it or because of some process. And the gap. Yeah, this is why I decided to stop prescribing, because I was just sitting in the gap. So much of what was happening in my weight clinic was actually sitting in the gap with people and recognizing that we really need, as a thoughtful healthcare system, powerful practices to help people in this space. Anybody who stays on the green line, who is served in the current process, and who is someone who the GLP-1 is just really resonating with their physiology and they have no side effects and they're accomplishing anything they want, they are being served by this current process. That's beautiful, okay? I want to specifically focus on the gap. That's what I've been doing 2 years. People who are not served by it, who are left behind. Yeah, this is the point. People told by the system you need to stay on these forever, but what if people can't do it, right? So we just hang people out to dry, basically. There is a non-insignificant probability that someone won't be able to do it, right? And so I want to help make systems that help people in that situation specifically. Don't write off the gap. Yep. Don't lose hope. That's what I want to say. Don't lose hope if you are on the blue line and you couldn't take it. Say research can go on. I tell you, you read the medical literature, the journals are nothing but positive, okay? And it's fine. And there is a real benefit. I hope I have given you an unbiased, perspective. Real benefit. Also, let's look at the bigger perspective. Every paper can continue to show incredible results, and as long as this gap exists, I think at least part of the system, right, should be focusing really as possible to do that. I say, almost every day it can feel like now GLP-1's indicated for heart disease, GLP-1's indicated for sleep apnea, and it's just going to go on, and the hype cycle can just go on. And I say this is fine. For my point, my perspective, as I've reviewed for it, I see 4 primary reasons why this gap is going to continue to grow and why it's important and shouldn't be overlooked, which is the medical contraindications. The more I prescribe this medicine, the more I collect groups of people who have to stop taking it because of side effects. And I run into people who are trying to lose weight but can't take them because of the huge list of contraindications, including personal and family history of thyroid cancer, history of pancreatitis, and the myriad reasons that people can't tolerate it, including, things that people currently wrestling with, like muscle loss and all kinds of sort of things. And the subtle, lingering concern that we haven't yet identified all of the problems, which is, the longer this goes on and the deeper I study these processes, the more I really do, worry about it. I do. And then the financial limitations of it, certain people have full coverage of these things, barely have to pay anything, yet the whole system is still paying extreme amounts of money. Obviously, the healthcare system itself is under significant financial burden. The idea that we're going to triple out the expense of this from $130 billion, and we're going to spend $500 billion on it, and this is why the investment case is being made that the money is going to flow. I'm not an economist, certainly not a healthcare economist. I don't know, can the system handle that? I doubt it, but what do I know? Okay, I just know that on a personal level, there are people who are taking it and then they cannot take it any longer. People's insurance situation changes. People get kicked onto a high deductible plan and they get kicked off their medicine. And so there are financial limitations. Do you think that is just going to disappear? I don't. So I think that this gap is going to persist. I've described the limited efficacy for some people. Everybody who has great efficacy presumably are the ones on the green line. They're going to keep taking it. The people who don't have that experience are on the blue line. This is like the idea of continuing to take a medicine that is very expensive for years that you're getting mediocre results from. Those people not going to keep taking it, right? So then there's the gap between the current process and where we are. And I don't see any sign that is changing, right? So, and then there is just the personal preference of people. Right now, did I show it on that slide? Yeah, we're about 11% of the U.S. adult population is taking these drugs right now. And of course, these are the people, on average, who are most wanting to take them. And there are many people, of course, on the other end of the curve who just out of a personal preference do not want to take a pharmaceutical substance. And I'm not optimistic that is going to change. I don't think we're ever going to reach 100% penetration on the market, of these drugs. And so therefore the gap will always persist between the potential, total addressable market and then the actual market penetration. So I want to be helping anyone in that situation. And so what I've been doing for 2 years, to the best of my ability, is to provide an alternative. And I don't want to hype anything. I'm not even going to say it's a better alternative. It's just an alternative. In the current framework, if there's no alternative, having anything, you say, well, would be better if I can't take, because increasingly the weight management space is just, this is like if we're cynical, we'd call it a black hole. If we're optimistic, we'll call it a star, okay? It's just a star. And the whole space is just orbiting around like one pharmaceutical class, when in my view, in light of everything that I have explained, like there's just that gap. Simultaneously, while I've experienced everything that I have shared with you, my whole experience over 12 years of being very enthusiastic, prescribing these things, coming to see the broader reality as best I can, thinking deeply about it, simultaneously through that, I became aware of the deep power of lifestyle processes. Everything that I talk about on this channel, a thoughtful and gentle fasting-based practice combined with a diet of stripping out all of the processed foods, if possible, literally all of it, just get it out. Pairing that with thoughtful movement in the body. It does not have to be marathon running, can be gentle things like taking a walk, and then the mindfulness strategies, which might be the very most important thing, helping our mindset. We are a mind body. We take all these 4 practices, put them together into a lifestyle process. I've seen such powerful transformations of people. Free from a medical standpoint, okay, there's cost to consult with someone, okay? You go to the doctor, there are co-pays to do that, right? And but no medication cost for a lifestyle intervention. And I did a talk like this, go back on my science deep dives, the research that I did. I got grants at the university to fund a fascinating study of my lifestyle process. Help people spending over a decade using insulin start bringing in fasting-based processes. I've seen people completely reverse type 2 diabetes and normalize blood sugar from the very worst place to completely normal. And that is such an incredible experience. And to go from an experience of prescribing script after script and having mediocrity to start, and people harmed, which I never want to happen. I say, how do I have a practice personally where I am able to deliver incredibly powerful results to people, sustainably over time, that do not just disappear, while also never harming anyone with pharmaceutical side effects, and try to give people the most incredible value, meaning you deliver the right lifestyle intervention once, you pay for it once, and you help someone learn something, could serve them for a lifetime. The cost-benefit analysis on this is so immense. The distinction between $135,000 per quali, okay, which I explained if you're new, just coming in, okay, 1 year for semaglutide, versus an intervention that costs a few $100s, to deliver a professional time with someone to help them. It's just so immense. So this is why, okay, to answer the question after all of this, why did I stop prescribing it? What changed the situation? This is the thing. You can picture 2 arcs, the enthusiasm coming down for GLP-1s, coming, I think, to a grounded space. Like I've tried to show, I'm not opposed to them in principle. I think they can be appropriately used, finding other people who are able to tolerate them and have the exceptional results. I'm all for it, okay. And but at the same time, recognizing that is not the majority of people. And then the other curve, as I'm really dialing in on the power of these situations, lifestyle interventions, is just night and day between a process of helping people to do the core foundational transformational work of health is so much more effective. It's just actually effective. Like the number of people having actual benefit that I work with in this process versus even when I would do both, I'd be like, here's the script and can you try to do this, please? Like, it's hard. The way I used to do it when I was prescribing GLP-1s is I'd be like, look, here is a tool to help you do the things that I am describing. And if people can use it that way, I think that's a real benefit. I did that for, 4 or 5 years. I say, here's something that'll help you with the appetite, and can it help you to practice fasting? And some people do find that, and I think that is a benefit. I have found more success, actually, as I have just 100% dialed in on it. And so that brings us here, right? This whole thing was a review for me. Like I said, I would change my mind. I would go back to prescribing a thing if I was really convinced. But I'm pretty convinced that I'm just very happy. I'm personally very happy to be doing what I am doing. Simple Fasting is this channel where I'm sharing my best thinking with people, and it's my clinic in Fitchburg, Wisconsin, where I'm one-on-one working with people, trying to help people actually do the process in a powerful, sustainable way that to me feels like, after this whole experience I've had in medicine, has just like been, my life, right? Medical school and residency training, an entire decade plus of like practicing and learning it. And I feel like to distill it all down into this point, I feel like it is what is needed in this modern moment, and not that it has to replace in any way an entire pharmaceutical complex. But even if that sliver were just 1%, right? If the gap of 1%, okay, 1% out of 100 million, like we got plenty, okay, and the gap is plenty bigger than 1%, okay? The gap is like 20-30%, okay? So there's just a huge space. I feel like this is the space that that I at least, okay? There's no shortage of people prescribing these medicines. So one little Dr. Z stops prescribing, say, let's just have a couple people just looking in this other space. And so I'm feeling personally very happy about it. I'm going to keep doing it. That's where it is. I came with an open mind. I'm reading the data. I'm thinking through it. And I'm like, you know what? We're going to stick with this. Stick with it. Simple Fasting in the clinic and Simple Fasting on the channel. So beautiful to have you here. We're going to keep going. In the next talk, probably the next talk, maybe it'll be tomorrow. I have a mind to do it tomorrow. I'm going to share with you my best ideas that I have, especially for my clinic. I have, during this, as you know, if you've been following along, had a little illness that I am bouncing back from. And as I was sitting on the couch thinking about how I'm really looking forward to having some more energy so that I can dial back in on this fasting lifestyle process, help more people, build powerful, incredible systems that are delivering sustainable, effective results to as many people as possible for as little money as possible. I just think the potential is so huge. This was helping me feel better as I was sitting on the couch feeling badly. I just was having so many beautiful thoughts. I'm like, no, we are going to crack the code on this gap, and we are going to help people in a bigger and more powerful way. I'm just really building up my mindset on it. So I'm going to write it into a talk. Maybe I'm going to try my best to get it out this week. Maybe tomorrow. Thank you for the comments. Let me dive into some comments. Share more comments, reflections on these topics, questions. I love to have a broader discussion about it. Marie, hey, I hope you're doing well these days. Are you bouncing back still? Needing to take these medicines for the rest of your life can be frustrating. Yep, can help you to lose the weight, but still needing them once the weight is off. Counterintuitive, yeah. This is a difficult space to navigate. If you read in the obesity medical literature, I read an article, journal article the other day. I lost the weight I wanted. Should I stop my medicines? And they're telling the doctors, you got to tell everyone, keep people on it. Keep people on it. Don't let them stop, because then the weight will come back, and people can be really stuck in a space with it. If people are not having side effects, will the medicine help you to keep the weight from coming back? Probably will. Like if you are in the scenario where the medicine helped you lose the weight, absolutely the data would suggest people stop it, weight going to come back on. This is really the box that we can get stuck in. And I want to help people get out of that box if they want to be in it. The standard medical advice is that people stay on the medicines indefinitely. And I'm not telling anybody what to you talk to your doctor. You want to talk to me as a doctor, come to my clinic. I'll give you actual medical advice. I'm just sharing, knowledge and perspective here. But that is a very tough, I agree with you, that is a very tough situation for so many people. And that's why the gap in that graph that I showed is going to persist and widen. As the years go on, years and years after years, there's going to be attrition, absolutely, from it. A lot of people not going to be able to do this. It took 30 years, but I fully believe lifestyle changes and habit changes are the way to go. Hey, that's an incredible perspective. Hey, to be an incredible perspective. Thank you for sharing that. I had some great fortune in my life, some truly great fortune, in that when I went through periods of tremendous stress and I gained a lot of weight and I had no effective coping skills other than ice cream and mac and cheese, that I came to a fasting process early, and I found it, and I used it to great effect in my body before, I had a long-standing problem with it. That started to really change my perspective. And so, as a physician, as a prescriber of medicines, maybe it took me 7 years to really start seeing the idea of really the power of lifestyle. I certainly didn't get it in medical school, and it took a while through practicing medicine to see the other side of the curve, and to say, no, we really need it. And, we want something. I mean, I do. That's why I go to pharma conferences historically. I use my CME money. I go listen to the speakers. I read all the studies. That's why I wrote so many scripts. Right? But then after letting that process run its course, like it took me a while, nearly a decade, to see, oh, look, here is this person. I've been prescribing pill after pill, and it, like I said in the talk, has been a long, expensive path to nowhere by the end of it. And eventually I couldn't, do that as I was really seeing the power of it. And so, but the whole course for me, till I really caught the idea, the full power of a lifestyle process, is 15 years. So it took 15 years to really let it sink in. Is there a push for doctors to prescribe GLP-1s over metformin? Curious. Well, there are pushes for sure, and let me just tell you about the most powerful one from my perspective. I've gone to a number of conferences over the last 6 months, and medical conference, place to listen to people, hear what they are talking about, network with people. I tell people what I'm doing, some people interested, some people saying, and mainly people are interested because they want to know how much money I'm making. They're like, oh, you left, you started your own thing. Like, oh, how much money are you making? This is what people ask me. And I'll be like, I'll be honest, I'm not really making very much money, but I'm having an interesting experience, okay? Interesting. And, I got to tell you, every time I encounter somebody like this, they ask me, why don't you start prescribing GLP-1s? Like, do you know how, like my friend, he left, he started a GLP-1 practice. He's making, you wouldn't believe how much money he's making. And so that's like a drive, The drive to prescribe is that if you're out on your own, man, you can make a lot of money doing it. There's huge demand. And people understand it, This is the easy path. People talk, oh, I talked to my friend. My friend said they just started taking this. Like, it helps, okay? It's like, okay. I was like, so people make a lot of money. That's one of them. Just the whole, like I said, it's a star. Everything in the medical system is orbiting around it. It's a spiral. The amount of money that is being spent. I mean, I don't watch TV anymore. Okay, I've just tried to cut this out of my life. I try not to ever look at any commercials that come up on any streaming thing. But how many times you have some sort of media? How many times does a commercial of happy dancing people, have to come up for a GLP-1? I mean, it's every time I see media. It's just everywhere. Ads all over the internet of the thing. And so then the demand is so incredible. Like, talk to any primary care doctor, I would just say, and ask them, what is it like of people coming in with demand for these medicines? And they'll tell you, I'm sure, that it's significant, And so it's very hard to exist as a physician prescriber in this space without being a part of it. And I'll just tell you, it's one of the reasons that I had to leave the university, like, in order to create enough space where I could just get some perspective on it. That's what I wanted as much as anything, because after having this huge experience, being so connected to it and so much prescribing and the whole thing, like, I needed some space to be able to reflect on it and just think deeply, is this really the right thing, at least for me, And that's why I think I'm doing this talk now, because now that we're 2 years out, and now that I've gained some experience on my own outside of the, standard medical system, where it's just really in this pure state, I'm just pure lifestyle, everything, I feel like I've taken a big, deep breath, and all of a sudden, and I can be a little more objective on it. And like I said, I've had some thoughts when I started reading these articles. I was like, should I go back? Like, maybe I was wrong, I would feel like I'm an open-minded person. I go back, I say, I'm refreshed, I'm back, round 2, Dr. Z and GLP-1s. I started up again. I just, I spent the last week really thinking deeply on this, and I can't do it, I couldn't do it. So this is where we are at now. This is where I am, the whole history, however long we've gone here, everything that has led us here. Now we are here in this moment. From my perspective, I'm very happy to be here. And my energy level is really building up, I will tell you. The more I have thought about it, the last 2 years, it's been very interesting. Doing the channel, kind of percolating along, my little clinic, I'll be like, I know a lot about medicine, I practiced medicine for a long time. It's hard to do something different. I certainly don't know much about business or YouTube or running a thing, but I'm like, this process, it's just sinking in. We were talking the other day on this session about a plateau phase, going through a space, transformation of some kind. It's like, we want this thing, we just want the results, we want it to blow out. I've had this sort of thing. And I really do believe that. A lot of things happening under a surface that we don't always appreciate. And I think that's my biggest encouragement to people that going through any process, whether it's a medication process or it's a lifestyle process, or you're doing both things, right? The story that is coming to my mind, I think I've told before, is like, some piece of advice. Someone was like 30 years old. They had some sort of career. They decided, they really had wanted to go to medical school, but now it's too late. And they're talking to this career counselor, and they're like, it's so long. And they're like, how old are you going to be, if you go back to med school now? By the time you get out, I was like, then I'm going to be like 37, by the time I finally get my residency, It's like, how old are you going to be if you don't do that? It's like, it's just the same, it's the same. So they're like, we go through a process, whatever it is, medication, lifestyle, time is passing no matter what we are doing. And we're going to end up at a space one way or the other. And so that's why doing the deep work, diving in on a lifestyle process, is the most sustainable in the long term. I never give people guarantees. Say, like some salesman, like, you're going to get like this weight loss by this time. Okay, no. I shared somewhere in the past, I got to bring the image back. It shows like a compass and then a speedometer. And it says focus on this and not this, right? Focus on the direction and not the speed, right? Got to get our direction right. Yeah, awesome. Contrave was my biggest go-to when I was prescribing things. Absolutely. I try to tell people this is something, it can really tone down a little bit some of those craving sort of pathways. Subtle, but you can notice it. That is exactly my experience with Contrave, right? And people experience that in a number of different domains. Of course, low-dose naltrexone help people with chronic pain and other situations because it's neuromodulatory. And so in, the weight loss space specifically, that's what I tell people. Especially in the last few years of my prescribing, I would tell people, look, we got this wave going on, GLP-1s, here's pros and cons, all these things. Here's natural perspectives that I have on it. You can dial in this. You want something in the middle, subtle, just help. I prescribed a lot of that. And like I said, to my knowledge, nobody harmed by it. And bupropion, of course, a little bit anti-anxiety. And for most people that take it, can help calm that down. A hunger craving itself is a type, I say, of an anxiety experience. So it makes sense. A little bupropion in there help to just bring that down. And then to me, that is kind of a bridge the gap sort of thing. I also don't like leaving people on something like that forever, if not necessary for some other purpose. But I tell people, look, what most people's experience is, let's do every natural thing possible. Get all the processed foods out and all the carb level, especially simple carbs, way down so that our hormonal state with insulin and blood sugar is stable, right? So we're not experiencing these wild energy swings. As we start to stabilize that, then it is easier to practice a fasting space. Yesterday, or on Friday, I was describing that in the ideal state, as we switch over from that sugar-burning state into the reserve energy, that if we practice that, the body gets better at it, and that transition state becomes smoother. Make fasting easier over time. And like I say, fasting, I never say, oh, it's easy, you just do it. No, it can be intense and difficult. That's why we approach it in a very calm, centered, thoughtful, and patient way so that we can ease into it, even if that took multiple years to really lean into. No problem, because we got plenty of space and time here. Never a rush, nothing forced. Absolutely. So people can experience then, okay, craving intensity going down, understanding it more. Maybe take some probiotics, help get that natural digestive things in. Probiotics help to balance the hormonal state in the GI system too, can be so helpful. Look into the series we did this summer weight loss challenge, dove into the fascinating topic of exercise-induced appetite suppression. There is some major win-wins that can come as we start to realize, okay, in a fasting space and an exercise space, these are like match made in weight loss heaven in my view, because as you gently lean into it and you realize how synergistic they are, that as we sit before you can walk before you can run, okay? But as we open up the space, training the metabolic strength of the body to be able to utilize the energy that is within it, the big analogies I use here, picking the lock, right? Does it feel like the energy is trapped inside of the body? How do we get it out? This is the point of it, right? Say, I want to lose weight. Energy is here. Body fat is energy. How do we release it? All right, look, we're building the actual pathways that use it. Not a synthetic peptide hormone that is, artificially altering things, but the deep physiology of the body, of how it actually works. So we say, how do we release the energy? Body fat is there to power the body in the absence of food. And so we gently train the body to open up in a calm, gentle, low-stress environment where we're not prevented from eating, but we're voluntarily opening it up. And the body says, hey, we've got energy for this. It's like we start to build the pathways to do it. It's getting hopefully a little easier over the time. Now we start moving in that space. All the sugar is out of the way. The body is releasing body fat, energy levels stable. We're not feeling energy crashing, feeling energy increasing. And all of a sudden, then the exercise can start to compound that. We say the fasting space is like opening up the door where everything is cleared out of the way. And now the energy can flow. And now we've got the gentle movement going. So synergistic. And then we see exercise-induced appetite suppression. Go watch that one. And see that then it can feed back around. That people afraid of fasting in the first place who say, without food, I'm going to be low energy, can't do anything. May be true in the beginning when we've never done it and we haven't had it. That's why I say sit before you can walk. You got to let the body take a deep breath. I always picture some cell in the back. It's like, what do we do? Like, we haven't done this in a long time. And then somebody in the back's like, no, we got plans. They're in this crate back here. Like, dust it off. It's gonna be okay. All right. They're like scurrying around trying to get out the plans, right? That's like the DNA, right? We're looking for the coding segments so we can build all the pathways to access these energies. But then we do it and then it gets easier. Now you can say, oh, I used to feel like so low energy, but now look, now I'm not eating and actually the energy is increasing. Have you ever experienced that? I'd want people to be able to find that space. If you haven't done it and you're looking to do it, stick with me on the channel every day. Weekdays, we're diving into this space, ask questions, share experiences. But then as it's flowing out, and then you can start to be more active in that space very gently. And now all these muscles, right, that we use and gently every time we're using it, they're like sponges, just soaking up the energy. And that is how we feed forward. And then as we start doing that and we get that effect, then the appetite is less. There is not a medicine that you can prescribe or take that can do that. There just isn't, you know? And that's what I've seen as a physician, that medicine can't get that effect going. And it's free. It is free. And I love it. I am sure your medical practice centered around lifestyle medicine will gather steam. I think more people are starting to realize quick fixes aren't the best path. I 100% agree. I have total confidence in it. 100%. It is happening, and it is going to happen. And even if it didn't happen, it's all okay. That's how I feel. Everything is okay. It really is. Oh my gosh. I am so happy about it. Grab a coffee and let the energy flow. This is like how simple it can be, you know? The whole idea of the talk, here I'm looking at the timer. First time since I clicked the go button, 1 hour and 3 minutes. You know, it just goes by. And to me, that's fasting space. You know, this has been a fasting space. Grab a coffee, share some thinking, do some talking, you know, and we fasted for an hour together, you know. And I'm personally so happy about it, feeling good. I personally am happy to keep this fasting space going. I've done no fasting for the last almost month because I was on this antibiotic, which I hate taking, and but it was terrible, you know, if you don't eat. So today, a fasting day for me, which I'm so happy about, and already I know my stomach just feeling better. Just like a little open space, a little rest. Stomach has done so much processing nasty antibiotics and all the food and all the stuff, and it's just going to get a break. It's like taking a deep breath for the body. Really appreciate the conversation, the thoughts. If you have ongoing thoughts, come back to this session. Share them in the comments. Let's have an ongoing talk about it. And I will be back tomorrow. Look forward to more thinking, more discussion, share some more ideas with you. I hope you have a beautiful day. I'll see you back here soon.